finger in the end there. That's what she said. Okay, tidy up, put the bike away. Hopefully the engine doesn't fall out. Let's just drop that down one, see if it makes a better picture. Maybe. So, we've got the spacer. I'll have a look, I suppose. We've got the spacer. Spacer needs to go in there. You just can see that. Pull the bolt all the way through. Right, if you can see, that spacer is going through the hole I've just posted it through, but it's not going any further than the as you can see the other side, just when my finger's pointed. Focus, I don't know if you can focus on that, but it's going to sit in there nicely. It's all make the measure, as it were, so you can't push it through too far, I think is what I'm trying to say. So just push it through to its flush with where I've got my finger now, and obviously the bolt needs to be dragged through. We're going to need to drop that nut there in order for us to get this engine bar on there. So let's have a look, see how easy or not that comes apart. And again, what we're going to do is slowly take these bolts out, and at the same time look at the washers. So that's a flat washer on this side, it's not recessed. So I'm going to presume that this engine bar can go flat against that. I just double, there's no recess about it, this one, but let's just double check on the instructions. I think what we're going to do is do identical to the other side. So the other side have the washer on first, and then the nut going through the engine bar. So that's what I'm going to try and do. If it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, I'll have to make some adjustments to it. Anyway, let's see how we get on. This side doesn't look like the fairings come off anyway. So let's just offer that up. In there, finger tight. And we've got the nut put on, which is going to be tricky in that recess. I'm going to try and do this one up a little bit, not tight, but just finger tight, so it starts to sit a little bit more squarely on the bike. So the nut on this side here is going to be 14 mil. So I'm going to try and find something to slide that in there with. And at the same time push the bolt back through. So let's just see what happens. Get around. Well, something seems to be going. And maybe not. Maybe not. So that just needs to tilt. Could be a while. Yep, could be a while. So it's because of the angle. It's not helping us. Let's just try and so at least it's straight. Right back out. There's a nut there. The nut's not there. The nut is on the bolt. So finger tight again. And let's see if it just spins forever. My finger in the end there. That's what she said. Let's see if that's going to move about or not. Right. Okay, so we've got one on there. We're going to get this final bolt in there before we go too nuts with everything else, and see how this works out. So got one of these left. So I'm gonna, you can see that angle on the front there. I'm gonna pop that one in there. It's a 13mm socket. And hopefully get that everything to line up. Open in there. So finger tight. Might just need the extension. On it. Okay, so that's in there, finger tight. That one's still finger tight. I'm going to check the other side because I want them all going up the same. So this one now is finger tight with the spanner, obviously. Right, the only thing which is loose is the centre one. Okay guys, got the camera in the wrong place. So we're nearly there. Just had a few problems with this centre bolt and getting it in. What I did notice was my socket set. In getting it in there, the socket set or the socket end seemed a bit thick and it wouldn't grip hold of the bolt, and that's a 17mm nut on the end of the bolt, so it's a 17mm nut on the bolt what goes through, and I've used a box spanner set to get in there. It's skinnier metal, and that was the only way I could see me getting that done. So we're in there now, a little bit better than hand tight with a spanner. So I'm just going to go around and torque all these up. This one here is, let's have a look, 40 Newton meters of torque. These ones here on the engine are 75, and there's one either side for that. And the smallest ones are just inside there on that bar, what goes across, and they're 20 Newton meters of torque. So I'm going to nut those up. But that's the only problem I found, just getting that one in there. It's a real faff. And the only other problem was obviously the fairing. I had to release the fairing to truly get to this bolt under there. So again, that's going to be a 75 Newton torque on that one. The old torque wrench, I haven't used that for a while. Set that down. Hopefully it's capturing some action. Okay, 17mm nut, 75 Newton meters of torque. Okay, we'll do the 20s, 20 Newton meters of torque. In that size, I can't remember. Could be a 13. By 10 Newton meters of torque, and one ring spanner. Just two ring spanner. To the right was an Allen key, and away in. Way in. There's a couple of lugs on there which you need to line up. Bit of a faff. But anyways, okay, that's on. Hi guys, so I'm about done here with this. I just want to do a quick recap. There was a bit of faffing around, and I want to show you guys the bits where I faffed around. I don't know if it was just me or bad instructions. Either way, let's have a look, see what I've done. So first of all, we put this cross member in, and keep in mind everything wants to be finger tight to kick off with, and you're going to need that's a 10mm socket there, and one of these keys, like a security key, sorry, wrong one. You're going to need one of these Allen type hexagon head type keys. That's an H5, and that gets fed on the inside there, and it's just going to hold on to that bolt head just on the inside there, and you're going to use your 10mm socket there, but not a lot of torque on these. I'll go through the torques again because you don't want to break anything. This nut here was a 13mm. There's one on either side. Again, I'll go through the torque settings on these. This side here, I had the biggest faff around because the fairing had to come off, and as you can see, there's a bolt there, a screw there, and that's where you're going to need the T30 screw, and you just need to flex that. When I come to put it back on, obviously the engine bar was in there, so I just had to flex that a little bit to get the key in there. So there's one there, there's one at the top, there's another one in front of the indicator, and there's two plastic ones easy to remove. So the fairing wise, underneath the fairing, round about where I got my finger, there's a lug that points that direction I'm pointing in now. So obviously you need to slide that back, and there's another lug on the top there which cups over the actual bracket, so that needs to go in first. The back one, slide it from left to right and cup over the top one, and that's how your fairing comes on and off. One of the biggest faffs was, and the fairing come off, so I could get this nut on here, and that's a 17mm on that one. And again, we mentioned the torque settings towards the end there. I'm going to put up a picture, as I mentioned earlier, of the instructions, but in order to get that successfully, as you can see, the extension on the socket is going to collide with the fairing, so that needed to be removed. There was a faff around with this one here through the frame, and that's I used in the end a 17mm box spanner, because I found my socket set was the thickness of the sockets was just awkward at getting the angle to hold on and bite it. Now the instructions show you, they don't tell you, they show you. They show a picture of this lever with an arrow going that way. Well, obviously if you pull the clutch in, that'll lift that over, but they didn't use any words, they just used pictures, and they had a picture of the clutch and an arrow. So so what I've done to relieve that problem, I just used a bungee essentially, and just bungeed in the lever like so, tied it round, and if you look, then that just moves that over and gives you the option to get the bolt in there. But anyway, so that was one of the faffs, the fairing. The actual bolt, once you've moved that lever out of the way by holding the clutch in, the actual bolt itself, it's still tricky to get the angle in there. And I did find putting the bolt in this side and putting the nut on the other side, I did attempt to do that, and it was a piece of cake. But just so that I could fit this to the manufacturer's instruction, I decided to put it into the manufacturer's instruction. As I say, that's the bolt on the other side and the nut on this side. So that's a 17mm socket and 14mm with the socket in that side. So anyway, we're all on. This side I didn't have to mess with the fairing at all, so just took that nut off there, reused the plastic washer on the back of that, and that's about it. Worth mentioning, the washer on this side, where that socket is, there's a washer underneath the bracket, so you're using these original bolts, and when you take that out, there's a washer the other side of it. Well, the washer really can only go one way. It's a bit like a top hat, and it's got a thing on it what just sits in play there. I don't know what the technical name is for that, but it needs to go in the same way anyway. But you can use this video as a reference, and hopefully that helps. But anyhow, I think we've covered everything there. While we're about, let's have a look at the torque settings, and the bar what went underneath there, that's only 10 Newton meters of torque on that. That's all you need. The nuts on this side were 20 Newton meters of torque. The big nut what went through the middle there was, or the big bolt should I say, is 40 Newton meters of torque, and these ones fixed to the engine, they're 75 Newton meters of torque, and that's it. So we'll just have a quick look around the job. There you go. Guys, love to see or hear about your comments and what engine bars you used. I used the OEM ones. I found 50% of people recommended these, and another 50% were just about every other manufacturer out there. I decided to go with the OEM ones just in case, that's all. And I like to fit OEM type standard specification on my bikes, but no other reason really apart from that. I can't say they're any better than the other ones, but anyway, they're designed for this bike, and that's what I've gone with. Anyway guys, if you've got a comment, please add a comment, please thumbs up and like if you like the video, And I just want to say thanks for watching. Stay safe everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. There's a copy of the instructions. If you lose your instructions, you can always refer to this video, do a screenshot, capture whatever you need off of there. And as I said at the beginning, worth checking you've got all these components first of all before you set off. And obviously it's got your torque settings on there as well. So that's the bar what goes behind the exhaust manifold, and the components do that. Not forgetting these little sleeves. So they've numbered these, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and obviously the reverse side is where you're going to pick up the actual main component of the engine bars. And you can screenshot this as well. If you lose a copy, you need to come back to it. And again, there's number 7, number 8, 9, 10, 11. This is the bit I was talking about with the clutch. So they've got a number 10. I've not used any words, so this is where I bungeed up the clutch lever. So this mechanism, as the instructions would suggest, there's an arrow, doesn't actually tell you what you're doing, but hopefully this video comes in useful. And that obviously moves that lever across and then allows you to get the bolt in a straight line, which is this bolt here. So again, you've got your torque settings on there, 40 Newton meters of torque on this one, what goes all the way through the frame. And that first bar you put on underneath the exhaust manifold has got a couple of bolts in there. They're 20 Newton meters of torque. And these bigger ones, this is the one where I had to remove this fairing on this side of the bike, and they've got a torque set in there of 75 Newton meters of torque. So there we go. Okay, tidy up, put the bike away. Hopefully the engine doesn't fall out.